Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. We're speaking with Frank Trampert, who's the SVP and Global Managing Director of Sabre Hospitality. So we're very, very lucky to have Frank, and I think one of the things that's really important to note today is that Frank's in Singapore. I'm in Ontario, Canada, so it's morning, afternoon in Europe, evening in Singapore, and hopefully there will be zero glitches. Frank, welcome.
Hello, Alan. Nice to see you on the other side of the world. So great to see you.
Nice to see you as well. So we're going to talk about a few things today. One of them being platformication, which is in itself a really interesting topic. But it would be fantastic if you could just give us a little bit of background on yourself from the start in the hotel industry and hotel school in Heidelberg, and then maybe where you are today, and then give us a little bit of feedback about Sabre Hospitality and what Sabre is seeing in the market.
Yeah, no, that's well. Thank you for that. Well, how much time do you have if I go back in history?
Not incredibly long, but
yeah. So I started off in the hotel business doing like an apprenticeship. So from the ground up, serving food and cleaning hotel rooms, that kind of stuff, and eventually, after some years of working in the industry, went to Heidelberg, studied, and with that, my international career path started. Moved to the US, Australia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Singapore, and soon I will go to the US. So I've been a bit around the block and working for different companies, hotel companies, startups on the technology side, and then eventually in 2017 joined Sabre to initially start leading the business here in APAC, taking over EMEA. And as of last year, I look after our global commercial business in Latin America, North America, and then the rest of the world. So it's been a really fun journey being in and out of the industry, so to speak, working in the hospitality business itself, but then also having had the opportunity to do something innovative and new, working for a startup. I worked for Brand Karma for a year, and then returned to the industry. I worked for an airline as well. Tony Fernandez was my boss, a super cool guy to learn from, and that was immediately before I joined Sabre. So it's been a terrific journey. I'm blessed to have been given myself and also my family the opportunity to move around the world and work in this terrific industry. So again, thanks for having me.
And wait a second, you alluded to the fact that you're actually going to be moving to the United States. So you're moving to Dallas?
Yes, I'll be moving to Dallas. I'll become a cowboy, so to speak, very soon.
Good for you. Excellent. One of the things that's really important is your early upbringing in the industry and the fact that you were in operations. And I think our industry needs a lot of people that migrate into technology that have that operational background. It's incredibly important. Funnily enough, one of my jobs when I first started out was being the mini bar guy at Four Seasons Hotels, long time ago. So we want to talk about platformication and Sabre's view of the future related to platformication. I guess the first question really would be, what is it?
Yes. So, well, firstly, I think our industry has suffered from fragmentation for a long while, right? So we have had multiple players in the industry, multiple solutions. It's been really hard for hotels to put the puzzle together because we have had the distribution side of the equation, the operational side of the equation, revenue solutions, CRM solutions, and it all has to come together in sort of a concerted way and fashion. And when you look back, and still today, it's a very fragmented industry. And funny that the digitization aspect of our new world, so to speak, has driven fundamentally new behaviors of consumers, and it's sort of easy to access, easy to find, easy to deal with, and the retail industry certainly has educated our sort of I call them the travel nomads, right? So the retailers who have now moved from the on-store or in-store experience to the virtual experience, and have had a great level of customization experience and providing products and services in a very fast way and fashion. So what we see is that this digitization aspect is putting a lot of pressure onto the hotel industry because the expectations are moving over. Hotel travelers expect a similar kind of personalization recognition in a much faster, in a more dynamic way, in fashion, sort of on the go, so to speak. And given the traditional way where hospitality is coming from, looking at this new normal and the digitalization aspect of the equation, it's been kind of hard, to help and move traditional businesses over into this new landscape.
And so when you're looking at that, you're right. Our industry has been highly fragmented. An old friend of mine, John Ing, that was an industry consultant for many, many years, had this diagram of a massive spaghetti of all the different systems that needed to integrate, whether it was on premise using serial connections back in the day, or whether it's using IP, all of these different environments. And there are companies that look at it horizontally, that in order to offer up a service, that they need to be able to facilitate that horizontal functionality of products.
Yes.
Is that kind of what platformication is all about?
Yeah, I think that I like the spaghetti analogy. I think that's really a good way to look at it. I mean, many years ago, there was a very cool sort of JPEG cruising around the internet where you saw all the little logos on distribution, and it was like 1,000 of different brands and applications being interconnected, and it's been really difficult. So platformication, basically, if I were to compare it to the Salesforce platform, I think that's a great example. If you think about this initial layer of technology where you have the power of the engine, you have your security, your data basis, you have your performance, your power, your reliability, etc. And on top of that, you build a set of services. And compare these set of services to the traditional way of how you think about applications like booking engines, OTA connectivity, GDS connectivity, etc. And these services, our microservices, are all reusable. So you build one thing one time, and if you need a shopping service, you build the shopping service once, and then the booking engine, OTA connectivity, or whatever GDS utilizes the same shopping service to return availability rates and inventory. And then sort of on top of that, you have an open API layer in an open architecture where you can customize if you want to customize. But in principle, that middle layer of services provides such a vast and wide array of configuration that it's a fantastic tool to distinguish and manage and brand differentiate. And if you still want to connect into maybe a very specific unique need that you have as a brand or a chain, then you can still do that through these open APIs. So that kind of platform play, that's exactly what we have been doing and building out for the last 2 years.
And do you think the time now is ripe for that kind of platform to be widely adopted? Do you think that we've gotten to a point within the hotel and travel technology industry that we have educated ourselves enough with all of these different silos of information that we're ready for what you have to offer from Sabre?
Yeah, look, I don't believe that the industry really has a choice anymore, right? And that is related to the fact that our customers really require an end-to-end solution. That the pandemic has been a great testing bed for all of us, for suppliers, for the industry, for the providers of services. And we all had to rethink in the way how we do business. And that means, from a scalability perspective, from a resource perspective, we just had to do things smarter. We spend a lot of time thinking about automation. We're spending a lot of time how we can simplify our products so they become easier to use and also become easier to train. And the simplification aspect, the automation aspect, the end-to-end solution aspect is really driving a large portion of hotels to reconsider in the way how they interconnect with this new vast evolving digital ecosystem. And if you think about maintaining your own platform, maintaining these myriad of integrations, and on top of that, you think about data privacy, you think about security, you think about fiduciary requirements, regulatory requirements, in particular when you have a chain that is more global of nature. it becomes a really expensive and difficult piece of business to manage. So hotels should be thinking about how to service customers, and then thinking about how to partner and in this technology environment to be able to scale faster and take advantage of this new ecosystem of integrations.
So, yeah, I think the integration ecosystem is incredibly important. As we move forward, one of the facets of that integration is delivering on guest expectations. And
Yep.
and I'm hearing today, I have yet to travel. I've been stuck up here in the frozen north for way too long. But all of that being said, I'm talking to hoteliers and technology providers in an ad hoc fashion, and they're saying, they're basically saying that today's guests that are walking through the front doors of the hotels are expecting so much more because they've been away for so long, and they want their experience to be fantastic. So from a recommendation, personalization, and all of those different facets to different words, how is the Platformication going to be able to enhance that kind of environment for the guests so we give them what they want?
Yeah, no, that's a great way to put it. Well, look, when I think about many moons ago, if I wanted to have a video, I went to the store and I had to get my tapes, and maybe I called earlier, and the gentleman or the lady at the store put that tape away from me, and then I went to pick it up and I put it back in the box. There was a little hole in the wall and threw it back in. And today, when you think about Netflix, for example, you just get those services online. You have thousands of variations of choices. My son looks at something different than maybe my wife looks at a TV series. I look at an action movie, and as I look more at those movies, or my kids look at other movies, more recommendations are coming in, and it becomes very convenient for me to consume, to buy, to purchase, and to enjoy. I save a lot of time, and my experience is going up and up and up. So when you think about how that then translates into the hotel business, how would you be able to recognize that kind of buying interest earlier on in the journey? And that's where we think about pre, during, and post traveler journey, and in the platform environment where you have multiple data points. You bring these data points together in a centralized way and fashion. You look at AI, machine learning, and you can see patterns much faster and much quicker, and you can return based on shopping experience or from your customers. You can return a more personalized offer. And I think that's what you can see more and more in the industry happening. You can see hotel companies are much more interested to leverage multiple data points, have that intelligence available in a much faster way and fashion. And then, of course, due to the technology applied, the insights are available much earlier and most likely more accurate, directionally accurate. And with that, you can have offers out in the marketplace faster. If the offer is, of course, more relevant, your conversion is going up, which leads to more revenues. And the spiral, so to speak, continues. So
that's great. And we had a quick question from somebody. I'm not sure if this is a plug or not, but I'm going to put it forward. Is this something that the HTNG group is looking at? Because when you talk about platformication, ecosystems, recommendations, all these different things, and interoperability, then I'm sure HTNG wants to be right in the middle of that. Is this something that they're looking at as well?
Yeah, so HTNG is a fabulous organization. I'm a member myself. We're a member at Sabre, and HTNG develops the standards around how we integrate, and of course how APIs are supposed to be communicating well with each other, what data points should flow, and so forth. And from a payment perspective, from an integration perspective, these guys are doing a terrific job in building out, sort of the Bible of connectivity. And in that context, a lot of time has been spent to think about attribute-based pricing and what the hotelier should be selling, and how hoteliers in this time of need and demand or lack of international travel can continuously accelerate revenue streams. And then in that context, we like to take the theme, the HTNG theme of attributes, to a whole different level. We would like to sort of help the hotel space to continuously innovate, to think about themselves beyond to a hotel room, or think about the hotel should be thinking about more of retailers themselves. They should not have the need to depend to sell something until somebody is on premise. They should be able to utilize the online environment to transact many of the services they already provide. And in this notion of attribute-based pricing, we're thinking it in the context of, we like to look at things in threes, right? So you have your retailing experience, you have your distribution experience, and sort of you have your fulfillment experience. And of course, HTNG develops the standard for all of those, but we probably take this intelligent retailing experience to a different level, where we say agency, airlines, and hotels need to come together in a more holistic way and fashion. And through the utilization of a platform, then the availability of data, of course, we have a greater insight, a much faster insight about behaviors, patterns, and so forth. And that allows us then to deliver a more relevant, more personalized experience. And we're building out this ecosystem. So we're utilizing industry standards to evolve these industry standards and have a much broader application and help hoteliers to think much broader about the revenue opportunities. I think a good example would be in the early days when low-cost airlines started to come into the game. The offerings was purely based on a seat in the sky and go from A to B. And then later on, the ancillary revenue streams, became so strong, being onboard sales or even prior arrival sales, that when I left Asia, I think ancillary sales reached more than 40% of total sales. So if you help hoteliers to sell, the great things they do on premise or on destination in an easier, accessible way and fashion, the revenue opportunities are multifold. And the obligation here for like a technology solution provider goes way, or the opportunities and the responsibility go way beyond, feature and functionality. It really goes into, revenue enabling technology, and that's what we love to look at. That's how we think about the evolution. Sabre talks about the 2025 marketplace that we're going to build, or in the process of building. And in hospitality, we like to think about this as an ecosystem that is enabled through revenue generation or revenue driving features and functionality. We're moving a bit away from that. We're having a roadmap and we're building feature 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? There's much more to it. There's automation. There's error identification. You may have loaded the rate code incorrectly. You were not even aware of that. It's out there for 2 weeks, but because we have now machine learning that can identify these things much earlier, we can close those gaps. We can help hotels to close those, labor gaps or labor shortages, and through that, of course, help to generate revenues. So, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. One of the interesting things about the larger companies in the marketplace today is the fact that they are truly global. I believe everybody has to be global today, small, big, or medium-sized companies. You're going to be moving to Dallas. You've got great, insight from Europe and APAC and other regions, I'm sure. What's Sabre's view of globalization? How, when you look at a European hotel in the middle of the Alps that needs one set of features and functions and might have a different type of guest versus an urban city property, and they're in different parts of the world, what's Sabre's view of the global hospitality world?
Yeah, so I would love to go back to sort of the notion of threes, right? So what's the value proposition that we bring to the table? And that is really across the board, not only for hospitality, but it's also at the Sabre level. And it's one is the commercial performance, right? I mean, that's really what differentiates and what people expect of you in any vendor scenario, be it global or regional, right? The commercial performance has to be there, and then how is the vendor or the technology solution provider help to improve that commercial performance? And that goes around our concept of intelligent retailing, or what we sort of think about the sell anything store, and how that needs to holistically integrate into anywhere in the world. And of course, this would have to come in stages. Again, if you think about retailing, distribution, and fulfillment, the fulfillment composition is heavily dependent on onwards distribution, and we're working with with a myriad of partners to enable that, to be able to have those offers consumable. So commercial performance is a huge area of focus, and we're heavily investing in that. The second one is, operational excellence. We do believe, and I do believe, that the way how you fulfill on premise is changing. The check-in, check-out experience, or the need to do that, is probably evolving in the way how you do it today. You see some evolution of new players in the marketplace to have some really cool options, alternative options available. I think it's all around convenience. It's all around doing it ahead of time. It's all around accelerating the check-in process. So the focus on operational excellence, that also then comes with the interoperability, the interconnectivity of the solution combined with the on-premise experience, is the next thing, which we believe as a truly global player has to work no matter where our clients are. And we do spend a lot of time on thinking about how we enable that. And Google Cloud global deployment is just one area of that. And then thirdly and lastly, on coming back to the theme of platformication, is on a platform that works. So that again comes with scalability, with reliability, with security, with 24/7 availability. All this good stuff, always on, so to speak, no matter where you are around the world. And if you put them together, if you drive and help and assist with improving revenues and you drive commercial performance, you enable that in an environment that makes it easy for hotels to operate from a training perspective, onboarding perspective, usability perspective, deployment perspective, support perspective, and you then align that with sort of this platform play where your integration capabilities become much more easily manageable, and you have on top of that still the ability for some hotel brands who just want to customize or need to customize, you still provide that ability in an open environment. I think you have a winning formula. And that's how we think at Sabre about how do you bring these solutions into a global arena, and you do that by keeping these three principles in mind.
Okay, we had another question that I think is pertinent from a LinkedIn user, no name. So obviously having an open ecosystem or an open platform, it begs the question: will Sabre be offering up a third-party toolkit to vendors in order to integrate into that platform? Our world has been known to be fragmented, but also there's this frenemy aspect of the hotel technology industry. Are you going to open it up?
Yeah, so I think to some extent we have opened it up in terms of our API library. I mean, there is an open environment for the ecosystem to code to. I would say that can only improve and can only be vastly expanded, and it's about making those existing interfaces consumable and building easy to understand and executable commercial models around it that drive a higher level of adoption. And I think the Apple stores and the iOS stores and others have built that quite uniquely and well. And we do believe there is a continued opportunity in this space. I don't believe that the times of licensing or having sort of a closed shop kind of environment is something that is sustainable or even suggestible as we go into this new world. And we will continue to evolve our capabilities in that area. In principle, we don't mind if you use the application or if you use the integration. That we are that connectivity company, that distribution company in between. And that's what we enable based on the preferences that you have. We have both. If you want to do it yourself, you can do it and you can use that service. If you want to use the application, we have that available as well. If you want to have 1 out of 10 products, no problem, you choose one. And if you have others that you want to bring on later on because of contractual commitments or otherwise, we can do that as well. So I think there's a lot of flexibility built within the platform, within the system to help hotels to transform from this traditional environment into this new digitized, integrated environment. And we're spending a lot of time on thought leadership, helping hotels to understand that it's not an unsurmountable task to do so. and that
Right.
because of the availability of this open architecture, the hotel is not bound or tied to a vendor. You have all the flexibilities in the world, and I think that's a very important aspect to understand, right? In the old days, heavy upfront investments were required to even enable something like this. Today, it's almost like a pay for performance model, right? If our hotels don't perform, we don't make any money either. So
Makes sense. So we only have a few minutes left, and I want to ask you a question that's not necessarily technology oriented, but it is twofold. One, Frank, what has COVID taught you over the past 18 months, and what do you think it's taught Sabre?
yeah, so firstly, COVID is just a synonym for another distraction or another day in the business that is continuously evolving faster. If it is COVID, if it is an economic crisis, if it is anything, I think a business today needs to be able nimble and react fast to these demands in the marketplace and to these events in the marketplace, and also make sure that the community that we service has a sustainable, safe, and secure environment, and the longevity of that environment to be available to help during the crisis, after the crisis, get out of the crisis or any crisis, and don't have to worry about the implication on the technology stack. What it taught us is, or taught me as well, and hopefully taught many other people around the world as well, disturbances are happening all the time. You have to build a level of resilience and a level of preparedness in your business. It has to be built in, and it should not something that comes as a surprise. And those systems and processes and procedures to help you to manage through a crisis, being able to get to amass the technology experts fast, act fast, react fast, and have a very clear understanding as to where the business is going, and how you manage that business on the go forward. I think is something that people need to adopt to and need to be prepared for ongoing. So I felt when I was working for Asia, we have had many crises, including a very unfortunate situation where an airplane crashed, and that imposed a huge implication on the entire business. And we all had to work together, to work for that outcome, to help the company to be sustainable. And that is also another aspect that I encourage everybody to think of. You are always a unit of one in a community of many, and you have to contribute to play your part and to play your role in making it better. So it's been a terrific experience. It's painful, but it's been a terrific experience.
Well, Frank, I want to thank you. When people heard the fact that I was going to be interviewing you today, I got emails saying that Frank is one of the nicest and smartest people that they know. And it truly has been a pleasure. And thank you for being on this interview. And I expect we'll see more of you when you're on this side of the pond.
Well, Alan, thank you very much. You've been a great host. I of course, thank you for the flowers. I take them any time of the day. Man, my age takes takes that any time of the takes that any time of day. So look, thank you for your hospitality. Thanks for the awesome question. Thanks for Sabre. On behalf of Sabre, thank us for being here to share with you how we think about the future, and great conversation. Thanks a lot.
All right. Cheers. Have a great day. Evening.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye. Bye.